So you got the Avata 360, you've flown the Avata 360, and now it's time to edit the content. Well, if you're like me, 360 camera footage is new. I haven't used any of the DJIs or uh, Insta 360s before, so my typical workflow is all within DaVinci Resolve, which I love as a video editor, and I will just pull these clips out and go back to my normal workflow in DaVinci Resolve. But from what I saw, it wasn't too friendly as far as taking advantage of some of that 360 editing process. There was a GoPro add-on I tried, and anyway, where I ultimately landed was DJI Studio. So I wanted to run through a few things you can do within DJI Studio to use your 360 camera, take advantage of it. So let's hop right into it. Now we're going to run through using keyframes, intelligent tracking, and last but not least, put some camera effects on there. So to start with, let's do some keyframes. So you can either use this button here or you can hit K, but basically you're picking a start and an end point. And over the course of this start to end, it's going to end up on how that ending keyframe is. So we're going to kind of over time as we move, we're going to zoom in on these little pictures here. There you have it. Not too much to it, but basically we'll do several keyframes through the course of this, and it's going to make one longer cut kind of do what we want the camera to do in the process. A couple things to call out. So with the camera, typically when you have the 360 camera, there's going to be some distortion on the corner. So if you think of like a wide camera lens or an ultra wide, you can really see the distortion. It's not as crazy as in an asteroid view like this, but there's some distortion. They have this nice feature with de-warping. I'm going to try and use that more often. It's going to make it look more natural camera, which I like. The other thing, kind of on a similar note, is around the animation. So during this kind of timeline between the points, you can either speed it up or slow it down. But the disclaimer there is that the start and end points, sometimes it gets a little jerky. So let's see if I can show that. I'm going to do the fast in and start before it. Yeah, it kind of does like a jerk there when it starts to move. So I'm going to keep things linear and hopefully then, it's not as noticeable. It's a little bit smoother. And I like that clean view. So that's with keyframes. The next thing we're going to do is on intelligent tracking. And so for this, let's look at this little tree as we move by. So intelligent tracking, you can either select it here or over next to the keyframes. So Control T is the shortcut. You basically just highlight what you want your subject to be. This is going to work a little bit better when you're, tracking a person who's moving or maybe on a bicycle, but it's still nice. Let's see how it does on this tree. So we're going to start tracking. You can kind of see it here creating. There's a little bit of jerk action happening there. So it doesn't look like it's going to be that great. Maybe the tree was a little bit too much to ask and Reddit's even lost the tracking. But still a nice feature. I'm sure you'll be able to find it. Again, especially when you have like that subject walking, might be useful. These are all things that you can do while you're actually flying the drone. I could have turned and looked at those pictures. I could have focused on that tree as you flew, but the kind of magic of a 360 is in editing. You can pick those views that you truly want. The last thing that we're going to do is um, the camera effects here. So under recommended, some of those are a little bit crazier, kind of that asteroid view, a lot happening. And maybe if you're on a snowboard or motorcycle, that might work for you. But for me, I'm trying to keep this more as like a real estate ad. So I want it to be smooth and nothing pushing the envelope too much. Let's go back to this little tree though. And as we're coming out, we're going to do a push in. I like these classics. They're not too crazy. But let's see how that looks. All you do is drag out. And there you have it. It's a pretty cool little effect there. I like the pull outs and the tilt ups. After it completes, you might want to add a keyframe to get things kind of back to normal. I'm going to have the ending point be de-warped and then Let's see how that transition goes out of the push-in. Now we're moving back to get to our normal lens type. And we're back. So with these add-ins, they're pretty much just add-ins. You can see the little shadow there of the spot it will be on, but you can't really stretch it too much afterwards or change it. So it kind of is what it is when you bring it in, but still really nifty feature there. I really think if you add these 360 features, you're going to be able to take advantage of that content, kind of moving through uh, the timeline and being able to change the view, being able to do that intelligent tracking. I think that could really be useful for some features where you have some subjects outside moving and talking that you want to keep that focus on, or just action shots that you want to, track the dirt bike as it goes over the jump. I'm not on a dirt bike, but anyway, I had a tree. But that's it. And then last but not least, those creative cameras. So some cool features. I'm from here gonna, let's say I'll clip this up and say that's all I wanted. Throw a quick little end on there. And then we're gonna take this into DaVinci Resolve. So up here we have an export, and I'm gonna amp up to 4K, make it as good as I can, and then I'm even gonna bring up our frames per second to 50. So the bit rate, put this on custom. I'm going to max this out, a little bit bigger file, but this is going to give me kind of my best quality to work for. You can play with these settings, turn noise reduction on or off. Again, some of the stuff you can probably edit further in DaVinci Resolve. The other nice thing here is if you had several 360 clips and you wanted to have each of them be their own, you don't have to have it all as a single clip. You could have multiple individuals. That way, each time that there's a break in your timeline, it'll put those out. So you can kind of edit all your 360, pull it in, and then continue from your typical editing software. That's it, though. I hope this helps. I hope you're able to take advantage of that 360 camera and make some really cool new content with the Avata 360.